Hello everyone, welcome to Titan Academy. In this video we will demonstrate a multi-page use case. Alright, so let's start with me showing you the published form and how it looks like, and then we'll go back to the builder and we'll break the form part by part. Alright, so this is our published form. Let's just refresh it and notice that I have the gear here. It means that in the settings, the form settings, debug mode, we have enabled the show hidden fields so we can see everything that happens on the form. Alright, so we'll hit get started, and once we click it, we'll move on to the next page. And our first page will collect information and create an account from that information. So let's put a company name, and we'll select an industry, and these drop downs, all the values are coming dynamically from the account, industry, and active drop downs. We'll put in an account number and we'll say yes. And now we can select what page we want to move on to next. We want to go to contact info. Notice the page number is FLD 237, or payment method, it will take me to 190. Terms only will take me to the last page. So let's do contact info, and we'll fill in the contact information. So first, and we'll do last, and let's put in a phone number and some email. Great. We'll hit next page. What you will notice is once I click the next page, then my push is running. So if I'll take a look currently what's going on in my integration logs, you can see that so far we've created account and created a contact. What's going to come next is update to the account. So right now we will set the type from the account pick list, and we will update the account we created in the first page with the type. So if I'll refresh now, we can see we just ran an account update. Next up, it's just a demonstration how from condition you can switch between two active tabs on a section. So we have, when I click benefits, so it will switch to the active, it will make the benefit tab active, and required will make the required active. So we click finish, and will take us to the last page with the thank you for submitting the form. Okay, let's head over here and we'll start breaking down the form. First of all, let's take a look at our get and push. So Salesforce integration get, we have two load pick lists. I notice that they run on form load. And the second one is for the account. So let's take a look at the mapping. So maps fields, industry, active, and account type. And I think we can get rid of this. I don't think anything is mapped here. So let's see. We can definitely remove this. Okay. So we have one account load pick list, since we have some pick lists from the account, and everything is mapped directly from here, and it runs on a form load. In a second, I'll show you a neat trick with this. All right, so let's move on. Let's take a look at our push. So push to Salesforce, we have three pushes like we've seen before. So the first one is create the account, and notice that they're always used in custom action button. And the action is simple create, and our fields are mapped directly to the form. So let's view the mapped fields, and we're mapping the account name, the account number, industry, and active. Move on to the next push, which is for the contact creation. So let's see our mapped fields. We're mapping the account ID to an account ID hidden that we have in the form. In a second, we'll see how it gets filled up. And the last name to last, first name to first, all elements on the form, mobile phone to phone, and email to email. All right, this is all of our pushes. What you will notice here on the bottom, we have a page break. So this is a page break element. With the page break, you can add multiple pages, and you can learn a lot more about it. If you click any of the question marks here, it will explain how to use any feature within the page break. So we see we have, within the page break, we have 6 pages, and we've hidden the default navigation. So this is the default navigation for the page break. So if I'll head back to the style, you can see that it's hidden per device. So the user cannot navigate through the default navigation of the page break. We're navigating the user through the buttons. So if I'll take a look at the first button, what we will see is that the button type is Go Next. Go Next means that it will just go to the next page on the form. And the cool thing with the Go Next, that if you're hiding an entire, from a condition, you're hiding an entire page of a page break, it will automatically ignore that hidden page and move on to the next page after that. So this is really cool. Okay, so here, nothing much. Just notice the account ID and company name, industry, account number, active. You can take a look at what's happening with these fields. If you click on any of the fields and you head over to conditions and you hit configure, you can see what it's used for. So in our instance, it's just push and get. So for the push, we're mapping it to active on the account, and for the get, we're mapping it from the active drop-down pick list in Salesforce. All right, let's take a look at this. This is quite interesting. So what we're setting here is a page number. So if I'll take a look at what's affecting the radio here, and I'll take a look at affected, nothing is affecting it, but we have conditions. What we're saying here is kind of interesting. So we see current field data value. The drop downs and radio buttons have two, it's an advanced field. So you have a value, it holds a value, and it holds just the name. So we can do current field without a value, and that will be the text value of what you have. In a second, I'll show you where these values are stored usually. So let's click to configure the results, and what we can see here is we're setting the page number on the our hidden page number, we're setting it to FLD237. FLD237 is the, if we'll take a look at the page break, you can see the FLD number. Let's go back to our condition. So element, take a look at the conditioning again. So what we're doing here is if it's 1, then we're setting it to 1 page. If it's 2, then we're setting the page number to a different page, FLD 190. And with 3, FLD 130. All right, and you would be able to see the same thing from here. So if on the page number on the hidden, we'll hit configure on the affected by, we can see everything from one go. So set value to FLD237, set value to 190, set value to 137, and we can see that we have one owner. You can have more than one field affecting another, but in our instance, it's everything here, and you can see the friendly condition, etc. Now let's see where do we see the values of the radio. In our instance, it could be from a drop down as well. If we will head over to our element and we will take a look at the advanced values configure, you can see that the label, we have a label contact info, so that's the label, and the value for this will be 1. Payment methods value is 2, terms only value is 3. This is why we were able to set these conditions. Let's view our next page button. This is quite interesting. So what we have here is a button type, go to page. So not go previous, not go next, go to page. And the go to page accepts a hidden. This is the hidden that we just set with the page that we want to move on to. Another thing that's happening here, if we'll take a look on the advanced, we have an on-click action. So whenever somebody clicks this button, aside from having to go next, it will also run this. And from here, what we've done is run our account create custom action. And we're mapping, once the custom action will finish running, we're mapping the returned account ID to our account ID hidden, so we can later use it in our contact creation and our account update. Let's move on to the next page. So let's see what we're doing over here. Again, we can see we have a hidden for the contact ID. And let's view the next page. So here we don't have any conditioning on the fields, nothing is affecting them, just pure input from the user. And let's take a look at the next page. So this is a Salesforce action button, it's not a go next button. And if we will take a look at what happens inside, we're running the contact create custom action that we've seen in the beginning, and we're returning the record again to a hidden, to the contact ID. And after that will finish running, you have a bunch of options here. So one of our options is to go to a page. And in our instance, we're going to the next page. And you will see that when anytime you run a custom action, you have a bunch of options here. Just feel free to click any of these and it will take you to a quick explanation of what that does. All right, so let's move on. On this page, nothing special. This pick list is loaded from the get pick list when the page loads. And if we'll take a look at the next page, again we have a Salesforce action, and we're just updating the account with our other push, the account update, and we're not returning record to anything since it's not useful. And again, go to page, next page. It's not useful in our instance. It's always good practice to return their created record ID to a hidden. And our last page is again our terms and conditions, where we played around with the section. So here we have a simple section with two tabs. So tabs are enabled. We have two tabs, and let's see what we have between them. Just text. And what we've done with the radio, again, this doesn't make any sense because you can switch between them by clicking also on the published form. It's just showing you how you can change the active tab from a condition. So if we'll take a look, and you can do this again from here, you can go to the affected element and say, okay, let's head over to conditioning and say affected by configure, and we see what's affecting it. So we can see that it's turning active, 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 and we have conditions and conditions and conditions. Wonderful. So let's head over to the condition, and we can do it directly from that radio. So I'll take a look at the condition, and what we're doing over here, if current field equals, and this is the label of the radio button, equals required, then we're going to the tab in the section, the benefits, and we're saying ignore this one and activate this guy. And on our next condition, we're saying if current field contains benefit, which is for benefit, then let's see what we mapped here, then required is active and benefits is active as well. All right, let's apply this, and we'll close. And let's move on to our next page. This is just a thank you page. Nothing is happening. Okay, so let's review this again, and then we will I'll show you another great feature you could do with the page break. All right, so let's get started, and we'll do another account, and we'll select some industry, and let's say account number this and this, and we'll say active, yes. And let's move on to payment methods. And this time we're not going to create a contact. So we'll hit next page. And let's see what happened again in our integration log. So let's see what happened. We already created the account. And this is what's great about using custom actions in the page break. So every action you do gets saved immediately to Salesforce. So if your user somehow lost connectivity or something like that, all the data is not lost, it's already there. Okay, so we see we don't have a type. So on our next page, we will select, let's say, technology partner, and we'll hit next page. And now, if I'll head back to my account and refresh it and take a look at the details, I can see I have the type in there. And again, the user is still on the form. This is just trickery on the section. And if I'll head back to previous and previous, now I can create my contact as well. So I'll say create a contact. And let's put in a phone, some email, and we'll hit next page. And now my contact got saved. So if I will go to my account, let's refresh it and take a look at the related, we have the contact created. And again, this shows you how powerful this thing is once you have per page an action going to Salesforce, if you need it, obviously. And let's change this to customer channel, and we will hit next and refresh it. Let's take a look at our details, and here is the updated account. All right, I'll show you a couple more things here. For instance, just like running custom pushes, you can run custom gets, and this is really, really powerful, just like with the custom push. Imagine you have a massive form with, let's say, 15, 20 pages long, and on every page you're bringing in data from a different object in Salesforce, and what you want to have happen is to lazy load your data. So whenever the customer lands on the form, you don't necessarily want to load all the data at once. It will not be a good user experience. So what you can do is, similarly to the custom push, you can do custom get. So for instance, the load pick list, and I'll try to do something more interesting on this. Instead of running on form load, let's run it only when we actually need it. And when do we need it? We need it, in our instance, when the user lands on the account creation page. So we can do it in a few ways. And the simplest way is, if I'll head to my page break, let's select our page break element, and I'll head over to the advanced, and from here you can see you can trigger a Salesforce action. So if I'll hit set, and I'll find my load pick list data, and I'll add it, so whenever the first time that the user landed on this page, I can load the data. And you can have more control over this. So you can say, I want to load this from the previous page, I want to run this from the next page, or I want to load it every single time that the user lands on this page. In our instance, the first time it's fine. So let's see how this does, and let's just add the message so we will see that it runs. So let's see messages and disable the form wire loading. That's perfect. We'll hit apply, save, and let's see what we see. All right, so we landed on the first page. Immediately we saw nothing ran, no gets, nothing. This is just an introduction page. Once we click the get started, we saw that get pick list running real quick. And you could load this in the background by going to our get and just not showing any messages. Or another cool thing you can do is on your, if I'll head back to my page break element here, and we'll head back to the Salesforce action. Right from here, you can do run in background, and then it will not show any messages to the user. Another thing that you would use if you have a big form and you're running a lot of gets from a single action, what you would want to do is gets or pushes, depends what you're doing, is run in parallel. And right now we don't have it since we don't have enough data on here. So if I'll add some stuff, this doesn't make any sense obviously, and we should see here run in parallel, and we don't since we don't have enough pushes and gets. In any case, once you have a lot of pushes and gets, you will have a checkbox here with run in parallel. And custom execution order is also very important. Just feel free to explore these question marks. Okay, so let's remove everything. And we have this set up. And let's add another page to the page break, and I'll show you how this custom load works. Okay, so what we will do here, instead of the thank you page, let's bring in, for instance, so I will save this form and I will remove the thank you, or you know what, let's add another page. So we'll go to the page break and we'll add a page, and this page will be empty, nothing here. I'm just gonna add, let's say, a table, and in this table let's bring in all the accounts that we have in Salesforce. Okay, so that will be ACC name, so let's do name, that will be type, and let's do SLA. Let's map our data, and we'll say get me account, get all ACCs to table, and we will use it in a custom action button. Let's bring in everything and limit by, let's do 20. Okay, let's map our fields. So we will say our table.name will go to the account name, and table.type will go to the account type. And it's a good practice to actually name your table so you know which table you're working on. And SLA, and we'll apply and finish. Let's apply this guy, and we need to set a condition. So we'll say a city condition, account ID is not empty. We'll hit apply, and this is a custom action, which means nothing will run it until we tell it to run. And what we will do over here on the page break, we will say that we're on the table. So I'll go to the page break. I'll say in the advanced Salesforce action, first time that the user gets here, please run the account get all accounts to table. And we'll hit apply. Let's just go back here, and we will add a next button, so we'll be able to get to the page. So instead of finish, I'll change this. Let's clone this finish and just ignore the styling here, and I'll say next. And I'll say prev, and let's change this to go prev, and let's see how this behaves. Okay, so let's refresh this, and our get ran. We didn't even see it running since we took off the message, and we'll put some company name, account number, and let's go to terms only, and we'll hit finish, and we'll hit next. And now we can see that our get ran the moment we landed on the page. Since it's set up to run only on the first time, so if I'll go previous and next, you see no get is running. But if we will head back over here and say to the page break in the advanced settings, instead of trigger Salesforce first time, trigger it every time. And let's see how this will behave. And I'll refresh this guy. Let's put in some company information, and we'll go to terms only again. Wonderful. And we'll hit finish. That will take us to the next page. And we'll hit next, and we have our data loaded. If I'll hit previous and go back to it, you see that the get ran again. So this is another cool feature here. And this is how it's done.